So in June of 2023, I received a text from an agent that I've known for years. And she said, "Who's doing your social media?" I said, "Me. I'm running it through ChatGPT. I did a course. It was awesome. I'll send you the link." And she texts me back with, "Yeah, I can tell. It doesn't sound like you. I was actually texting you to call out your social media manager because it's just AI." And that opened my eyes. This is someone who knows me, not someone who I met at a conference or a social media follower. This is someone that I've had actual conversations with, who knows how I think, how I speak. She read my content and she thought someone else wrote it, and they did. And that is where the philosophy of authorship started. Now, here's the thing that I had to reckon with. I wasn't posting bad content. It was structured, it was readable, it was professional. And by any objective measure, the quality had gone up since I started using AI. But quality and authenticity are not the same thing. The content was better by the metrics that most algorithms would use to measure content. I was getting followers and likes, and I had completely stopped sounding like me. So I want to talk about what happened, and more importantly, why it happens, because I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm Matt Goldman. Welcome to the Creative Authority Podcast. I am a real estate agent with 12 years of experience. I've built 2 real estate businesses in 2 markets with the use of AI, and I've dove deep into this subject, and I'm happy to help you learn a little bit about it on the way. But the reason that I do this work is because of that story. I went through it myself. I didn't observe it in somebody else's experience. I lived it, and I figured out on the other side how it changes. And how I think about AI is completely different than anything that I'm receiving from the world. And I want to share that with you. So here's the problem, as clearly as I can state it. Most every AI training leans heavily into the prompts. Here's how to write your listing description. Here's the 7-prompt architecture of an email update template. Here's the prompt that gets you 10 ideas in 30 seconds. And I'm not saying that those things don't work. They do. They produce real output. But they all skip a question that matters more than any of them. What is the AI actually creating from? Because here's what AI training is doing right now. It's teaching you to run before you even know what direction you're running in. It hands you a tool and it says, "Here, use this." And you use it and it produces something and you post it and it looks fine. But fine is not the same as you. And in a business that is built on trust and relationships and the very specific way that you show up for your clients, fine is a liability. When you open a new chat and you prompt, the AI doesn't know who you are. It doesn't know what you believe about real estate. It doesn't know how you talk to a seller who just got a lowball offer. It doesn't know the specific way that you slow down a conversation when someone is feeling overwhelmed. It doesn't know what words that you'd never use. It doesn't know the positions and the opinions and the beliefs that you have created over 15 years of working in this industry and why you have those opinions. It knows nothing about you specifically. So it does what it does when it knows nothing about you specifically. It produces the average of every real estate agent that has ever read, every real estate agent who's put anything on the internet, every generic listing description, boilerplate email template, every market update that starts with, "It's a seller's market in today's landscape," all of that. It all blends into something that is technically correct and completely indistinct. And when you've spent years building a business on being specifically and recognizably you, indistinct might as well be invisible. Now, here's what I didn't understand when I started using AI. I assumed the tools would figure out my voice over time. I assumed if I used it enough, gave it enough examples of my different content styles, it would eventually start to sound like me. We all saw that prompt in summer of 2023 of upload 3 examples of your writing and tell it to write in my voice. And it doesn't work that way, right? Straight up, that's not how it works. AI is not learning from you. It's reflecting the quality and the specificity of what you put into it. So every single session, vague input, vague output, generic context, generic content, every time without exception. The agents that are getting consistent on-brand output from their AI are not better at prompting. They are not more technically sophisticated. They just did something before they ever typed their first prompt. They gave their AI a foundation to work from. And that foundation is made of two things. The first is a mission statement. Not a tagline, not your brokerage's value proposition, not everything I touch turns to sold, or helping you find your way home. This is a real working document, one that captures how you really think, how you make decisions, and who you specifically serve, and where your boundaries are in what you are willing to say and not say. This is a document that answers what is AI permitted to do on your behalf and what must it never do. Because here's what happens without it. AI will just fill the void with defaults, and defaults are built for the broadest possible audience, the safest possible answer, the most agreeable possible take on something. It softens all of your opinions. It avoids any hard positions, and it hedges everything. If you're watching on Instagram, and if you're not, check out matt.gold.man on Instagram, because we do a AI drift of the week, and the hedge is one of those drifts that we're talking about. It will qualify everything with, I think you should consider doing this, or here's what nobody's talking about. Oh God, all of these things. So the problem with that is that clients can tell. They may not be able to name it, but they can feel it, that your conviction is gone, your specificity is gone. I talk a lot about specificity because AI cannot replicate that. The thing that made your communication feel like it came from someone who actually knows something, that's gone. My agent friend felt that, and I am forever grateful that she texted me to tell me that, because it's how we developed all of this. The second part of that foundation is the Canonical voice reference. This is a document that captures how you actually communicate, written and spoken, the rhythm of how you explain something complicated to someone who's nervous, the words that you would never use in a client conversation, the way you handle pushback, the way you open a difficult conversation before you have to say the hard thing. This is not tone setting. This is not make this edgier, make this more friendly. This is a real thing. This is the actual texture of how you communicate with people, the architecture of your language. And the reason it has to be documented, the reason that you can't just assume AI will pick up on that, is that your voice is not in AI's training data. Your specific way of working is not publicly available anywhere. So the only way that tool can know what it is if you tell it explicitly before the session starts. Without this document, AI defaults to its average voice the same way that it defaults to its average content without the mission statement. And its average voice is this blurred composite of every professional who's ever written anything on the internet. And that's what my content sounded like, a weird blurred composite. Not bad, certainly not offensive, not wrong 82% of the time, just not me. Your AI sounds generic because you told it nothing real about yourself. That's the whole thing. The entire problem in one sentence. It's that most agents open a new chat, type a request, and expect the tool to somehow know their market, their personality, their 15 years of judgment, and the very specific way that they've earned the trust of people who refer them business. It doesn't know any of that. It can't, not unless you put it in. Now, I want to be clear about something here because I think it gets misunderstood. I'm not telling you that AI doesn't work. It works. I use it every day. I'm telling you that AI without a foundation is like hiring an assistant and never briefing them, never training them. They'll do the work. Hopefully they will be competent, but they're going to do it in their own way. They're going to do it in a way that is very safe, that they're going to not get fired, that's the average way, not your way. If you're a real estate agent with experience, years of experience, that you need to lead people with conviction, lead your clients with definitive answers and direction. You can't be the average and expect to get paid. The foundation, the mission statement, the canonical voice reference, that is the briefing. That's the training. You didn't hire an assistant. You got an AI. This is the thing that tells your tool who you are, what you stand for, and how you want to show up. Once you've done that, everything changes. The output stops being generic and starts being yours. It's not perfect. It's yours, which is pretty close to perfect. But that's the whole point. So here's what I want you to take from this. If your content has started to feel off, if you read it back and it doesn't quite sound like you, that's not a prompting problem. That is a foundation problem, and it's fixable. The work of building your foundation is not complicated. It doesn't require a conference in Akron, Ohio. It doesn't require you to become a different kind of agent or learn a new set of technical skills. It requires you to write down what you already know and do some work in digging down into what your business is and how you show up for people, who you serve, what you believe, how you talk, and what you'd never say. The positions that you've held for years that you never actually put on paper are all things that we dive into in the Creative Authority training, and you learn about them as you're telling your AI this thing. That's the work that Creative Authority is built around: the mission statement, the canonical voice reference, also decision rules, research lens, the marketing statement. This foundation is what makes everything else in AI work for you. If you've been spending money on AI training that hands you prompts with no foundation under them and wondering why the output still doesn't sound like you, that's why. And that's what we fix. The link is in the description if you want to know more or comment or follow along here. I appreciate it. It helps the channel go a long way. And in the meantime, I'll see you on the next video.